My name's Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
This is rJo, Winch from All Politics is Local, and I'm glad to be here today with a packed house of union representatives and union members that are opposing Senate Bill 464. In case you haven't heard what 464 is the bill that the mayor is asking the legislators to impose upon us to give himself and 2 council members and the city treasurer powers under a financial sustainability commission. What that commission will basically do is at any time that the mayor determines that he doesn't like what the council is giving him, he can use his other hat as the commission chair and take it to them and override it. More important than that, if you go to arbitration or have relationships with unions and don't like the negotiation through the union, then he will use his other hat as a chair of the Financial Sustainability Commission to also be the arbitrator. So in local government and any other government, you don't get to be both branches. You don't get to be the legislative branch and the judicial branch. That's what they call a balance in government. That's what the Hartford City Council was elected to do. And I want to thank you all very much for entrusting your care in my hands. And I will not, under any circumstances, violate the Constitution of these United States to protect your right to unionize, to protect your right to have fair wages, and protect your right to have a fair arbitration process when the 2 parties cannot agree. So we're asking all of you out there to call your other states and towns and cities and let them know that this municipal Hartford City Council is not in favor of Senate Bill 464, because if we allow this to happen to Hartford, the capital city, you can best believe they're coming to a town near you. So look out New Haven, look out Bridgeport, look out Meriden. Make sure that you get to your state reps and your representatives early and tell them to vote no on Senate Bill 464. It's not favorable for the residents and not favorable for the city of Hartford, and it won't work for you. So continue to watch here on All Politics is Local with AccessTV.org. We'll keep you posted on the ongoings of Senate Bill 464.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Wildelise Bermudez. I'm the newly elected City Councilwoman here in Hartford, Minority Leader for the Working Families Party, and we stand here alongside WFP, along with Democrats like Councilwoman rJo Winch and Council members Dr. Larry Deutsch and Councilwoman Cynthia Jennings, who are firmly opposed, standing against SB Bill 464. We do not stand here alone. We are joined with members from the community, Hartford residents, longtime Hartford residents, firefighters, AFT, paraprofessionals, custodians, bus drivers, also 1760 from DPW. Also, the police union is here as well, among other unions. We are saying no to 464 bill for many reasons. Among them, this bill has far-reaching, overreaching power. This bill that's been proposed by Mayor Luke Bronin and introduced before Senator from Farah through the Finance Committee and had a public testimony period today at the LOB would have far-reaching implications for the city of Hartford. Among these, if this bill goes through, the City Council would have to allow for reviews and recommendations from a Hartford Financial Sustainability Commission, appointed 9 people, appointed by the mayor. This would mean that City Council would have to disapprove these recommendations by 5 disapproval votes from City Council, something which we think is very impossible to do in a very short turnaround period. This would mean that on or before, when this potential commission comes together and meets, on or before City Council meeting, City Council would have to disapprove such recommendation. Another item that is very crucial to this is that this body, the commission, of the Hartford Sustainability Commission would have to approve or reject all collective bargaining agreements. If the parties are unable to reach an agreement, the Commission will set forth the terms of the new agreement. This party, the Commission, would serve also as binding arbitration panel. What does this mean? That this Commission would be both the jury, the judge, and the executioner, not providing a neutral party to have fair arbitration process or negotiation for unions. Also, among other concerns that we have is that this Commission could avoid provisions of Chapter 54 of the General Statutes. This means that the Commission does not have to follow the existing Uniform Administrative Procedures Act. It takes away public input in this Commission's governing process. So, for example, if the Commission says we want to increase or actually have taxes on, let's say, hypothetically, churches, the churches would not have any public input, period, because of Chapter 54. Additionally, another concern for us is that this Commission would have the power to apply a writ of mandamus. Essentially, it means a court approval to enforce an order or seek a temporary or permanent injunction order to be stopped through the Attorney General's office for any employee, official, or city agent that does not follow the orders of this Commission. For that and many reasons, we stand opposed to 464. I will now turn the floor to my colleagues, other council members, both from WFP and the Democrats, who are saying no to this bill.
Well, welcome everyone. It's been a long and exciting day. And first, we should appreciate all those who've given up some of their time, especially all the firefighters that are here from the City of Hartford, who have given up their time, but of course, if there were an emergency, they'd also be there to help us out. So I think they, among others, should get applause. And what we see today, it's interesting. You have a minority party, which is surely in the majority on this issue. And if the camera swung around, you'd see so many wonderful people, as there are standing here. So the majority leader, Councilwoman Bermudez, has just given a few facts. I won't go into it because we've been doing that at the state capitol all day just about, and the legislators have been listening. We pointed out many things, but one of the central points we're all here for is we insist on a fair collective bargaining process before work goes on. And we want a fair arbitration if it comes to that. And Councilwoman Bermudez just said, how can you have two parties and one of them is supposed to arbitrate, but one of them is on one side and is supposed to make the final decision from above? So it's just not the tradition that's fair. You don't have fairness and neutrality. So I think everyone here knows that, and that if it happens in Hartford, the other cities have to worry too, the other unions and people in the rest of the state. We cannot have a situation of trying to overpower because of some financial issues the traditional process of fair negotiation, collective bargaining, arbitration that's neutral, and so on. And we insist also on fairness in a general sense, in who gets taxed, how the money is distributed, and not cutting services. Because we're all here because we want to serve the people. We serve the people of the City of Hartford, and to do that requires a good labor agreement in a fair manner. So I would really, there are plenty of other people who I think who will speak, and more eloquently than I will, but we on City Council, we've been told, several of us, that we must maintain the position we were elected to do. People have said to some of us, do your job. You're elected, and don't hand it over to some commission that really doesn't have the know-how and the say-so of all the people that are here. So thank you so much for coming, and let's keep going.
Good evening. I'm Councilwoman Winch, the Chair of Labor and Workforce. And it was ironic that this should come up today. I was going through my granddaughter's book bag, and in there I found from Capital Prep, Our Living Constitution. I started laughing as soon as I saw it. And of course, Grandma, why are you laughing? I said, because if fourth graders can understand how the government works, then what's wrong with grown people? You know, and I had an opportunity to listen to a lot of the commentation today at the city council, at the state legislature talking about Senate Bill 464, and a lot of the questions came up that we have been asking. Who had the mayor talk to? Who had input into this agreement? Why was the council and city treasurer against the proposal? Why was the proposal put in before it had municipal support? The answer to these questions are not simple, but they should have been. The council and mayor were elected by the residents of the city of Hartford, and we don't just serve as just the highest taxpayers. We must trust the judgment of the individuals who are elected to do their job, as Councilman Deutsch has said before. We understand that we no longer spend and not have revenue to pay for. We realize that the council is new, and so is the mayor is new, and we ask that them take the time to go through the budget with real numbers and sit down and make real choices. I was a little bit disturbed when I heard the mayor say, well, he's going to make responsible cuts, and then he's also going to make some cuts that are not responsible. So I don't know, where's the fair government in that choice? So we need the mayor and council to sit down with the city treasurer, look at real numbers, determine where we really are, not a flip chart that says this is where we are, and if we don't do this, we're going to go into bankrupt, but don't let you walk away with the numbers so that you can study them yourself and make a fair option to where they are. I don't want to go to the budget office and get those numbers. I want to see the numbers that he's using to make his determination about where this city is. So it is absolutely 100% not okay to be like Councilman Deutsch said. You can't ask the city council to do the budget and you sit in this chair, you get the budget that the city council gives you, then you don't like what it is, then you sit in the other chair where you're the chair of the commission and you decide that you can override that. Or you go to unions, not all the unions, you go to Union A and Union A doesn't give you what you want, so you're going to punish all the unions by not going to talk to any more of them while you make a decision that you don't like to have to go through remediation. So the panel is also going to serve as an arbitration board. Where's the justice in that?
I want to thank my council members for having our back on this one. I think what we first need to do is figure out why is the city of Hartford in this fiscal structural deficit every single year. And that is because the state of Connecticut has not been paying their full taxes to the city for more than 10 years. And when we're dealing with individuals, unions, people that are working for the city of Hartford, why should the budget be balanced on their backs when they didn't create the problem? I would also like to say that this problem is not addressed in Senate Bill 464. This Financial Sustainability Commission does not in any way address the fact that the state, the state has driven the city into poverty by not paying their bills. We have not had rent on the Excel Center paid in more than 2 years. Our school building committee of the schools that we borrowed hundreds of millions of dollars to build under state statute have not been fully reimbursed. So we need the state to pay their bills and not leave it on the residents and the workers in the city to suffer the consequences. It is an injustice to have Hartford residents pay the full cost for 123,000 commuters that come into this city every day. We pay for their snow removal, we pay for their street maintenance, we pay for their fire protection, their police protection, and we get no money to reimburse us for that. So Hartford residents have to carry that cost. That cost should have been taken care of with the state income tax that Lowell Weicker put in place, And that income tax was intended to put the state on financial notice that they had to pay their bills. If we don't pay our taxes, we are put out of our house. And so we can't ask for the keys to the Capitol, but we can ask the state to pay their bills. And I just want to say that SB 464 is an absolute violation of the rights of the residents of the City of Hartford. There's taxation without representation because the representative body, the council, has been taken out of the picture, and the Sustainability Commission will replace the City Council. The issue was stated by the mayor very clearly that it does not supersede, this commission does not supersede the state law. Supersede the city charter. And no, it doesn't supersede the city charter. State law 464 supersedes the city charter and takes away the rights of the people in this city. So I guess it's no secret that I oppose Senate Bill 464. We ask the mayor to do what we do every single year, and that is take a look and take the path of least resistance. You don't have to lay off people and destroy families. And even if you do, Connecticut taxpayers will pay for those families for welfare, support, and any other services that they need, because we are not going to allow people to starve in this state. So we're asking that this state pay attention, pay the bills that they owe to us, and make arrangements. Put us in the budget. Okay, we put our taxes in our budget. We expect the state to put the payment in lieu of taxes in the budget to pay the City of Hartford. And we also expect that people will not be laid off because the state has not paid their bills. Thank you.
As members of the Hartford Court of Common Council, we have received collectively thousands of emails and phone calls from very concerned Hartford residents and employees and labor unions who are opposed to 464. We do not stand alone, and here with us today, we have collected over 100 petitions of people who are saying no to SB 464. And we are sure that many more will continue to come in. With that, we would like to introduce who some of these members are. Among them, we would like to hear from Shelley Davis and Jackie Avalis and Andrea Johnson, Hamia 1716, the Firefighters 760 local union, and also the police department and a Hartford resident. Let's have Shelley Davis.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. Let me start by saying that Connecticut is not Wisconsin. Voters did not elect state or local representatives to deprive citizens of the right of free association, the right of free speech, and the right to collective bargaining. SB 464 violates the Contract Clause, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the United States Constitution. Also, the provision violates the 5th and 14th Amendment by taking away vested property rights without due process. Brothers and sisters, there is also the power grab on arbitration. SB 464 provides that with respect to labor, contracts in or subject to binding arbitration, the commission is to serve as the binding arbitration panel. In other words, when the union cannot agree with the commission gets to act as arbiter. That would abrogate the current practice that we have right now. Arbitration in the Connecticut State Board of Labor Relations are existing, which has the experience and legal knowledge to carry on an important and impartial arbitration between parties. So I say to you today, Bill SB 464 is not an option and not an opportunity for any of us, not for the City of Hartford, and not for our children, and definitely not for education. So let's oppose SB 464. Thank you.
Good evening, Hartford. I am Jackie Aviles. I am co-president of the Hartford Federation of Paraprofessionals. As we stand here together as Hartford, as one, today Mayor Bronin testified in front of the legislative that he had talked to unions. Mayor Bronin, 5 or 10 minutes does not constitute a meeting, does not constitute negotiating with unions. Say no to SB 464. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sean Antoine. I represent Hamia, which is the management arm of the city. We just want to tell the mayor, Mayor, please come talk to us. We are willing and ready to talk to you. Whenever you're ready, we're here, and you can reach us at any time. You know where we are. Thank you.
Good evening, Vincent Fusco, Hartford Firefighters Union. We're in strong opposition of SB 464. We listened to Mayor Bronin tell us and members of the legislative body today that he is a friend of labor and he respects us. This legislation does not respect us. Respect is not reneging on every negotiated benefit that the city has ever produced with the unions, not just our union, but all the unions. Also, if this legislation is passed, it will have a negative impact on the public safety of the city of Hartford, right? Because what will wind up happening is you will lose experienced members of this department and the police department. They will be gone. They will not be replaced by this mayor. The response times are going to be increased, putting people in harm's way. He has made proposals of increasing our hours to 56 hours a week with no compensation. He has referenced closing a minimum of 2 companies, placing everybody in harm's way. I asked Mayor Bronin, what is the cost of the lost lives that could be potentially happen in the city of Hartford? What is that? I know what it is. Based upon his proposals, he has put the price of a life at roughly $10 million. That's what it is. If this legislation passes, you can remove the rising star sign and you can put "Welcome to the People's Republic of Hartford," brought to you by Chairman Bronin.
Good evening. I'm the Rich Holton, the Hartford Police Union president. We strongly oppose Senate Bill 464. In our opinion, it's a train wreck that can't even describe what's going on in the city. Yes, the city has some financial difficulties and has to be addressed, but 464 is not the way to do it. It attacks the collective bargaining of all the hardworking men and women in the city of Hartford. It goes after binding arbitration, and it also attacks the council's powers of veto and their ability to approve or disapprove union contracts. Mayor Bronin and I have had discussions, but nothing of real substance. Everything I've thrown at him as far as ideas to save money or implement new revenue and create jobs is not enough. According to his testimony today, if he got rid of the fire department and the police department, that still wouldn't be enough to balance his budget. That's a ludicrous and reckless statement in my opinion. That's about $80 million a year he would save if he did that. Can you not balance a budget with $80 million a year? If you can't do that in the city of Hartford, you shouldn't be here at all, number one. Secondly, President Fusco is hitting the nail on the head. If Senate Bill 646 was to pass, you would lose valuable resources in the city of Hartford through the police department as well as the fire department with the experience and knowledge that goes along with it. Last year, we've lost over 100 police officers through retirement and attrition. This year, we're slated to lose another 49. If Senate Bill 464, any resemblance of 464 is to pass, you're going to lose the younger officers that are here. So you would gut the police department and you would have a decimation that you couldn't even understand. The ramifications of 464 are far-reaching. We're not Waterbury. We're not even close to what Waterbury is. And don't fall for that smoke and mirrors trick. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Kenneth Blue. I'm president local ASME 1716. And we oppose 464. We are Union United. We make the city run. Without police, fire, and DPW,
there would be no city. 85% of our employees are residents of the city of Hartford. And if you lay off, who's going to do the work? Again, we oppose 464 unions. Love you guys, and we oppose 464.
We also have with us Council President Thomas Clark.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Clark II, and I am the City Council President. I'm also co-chair of the Public Safety and Quality of Life Committee, which actually oversees the fire department and the police department. I have spoken to many of the union leaders, and I had a simple ask was, have there been a negotiation process? I have always said that we need to exhaust every avenue and every measure before we travel down this path. And I still stand to say that before we get to this action, that we need to exhaust every avenue and every measure before we talk about a fiscal oversight board. And so I please encourage the City of Hartford, and particularly the administration, to please negotiate with the respective unions that are gathered here so that we can actually make amends and work forward to putting Hartford back on a sustainable path. So I encourage everyone to please, I've heard all your cries, your pleas, your phone calls about how this actually impedes on the progress. And I just hope that every avenue is crossed, every I is dotted, every T is crossed, every avenue is exhausted before we go down this path. Thank you very much.
Lastly, we would like to hear from AFT. Or any other union. Yes.
Right here behind you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Christine Ladd. I'm a school counselor. Just speaking on behalf of the Hartford Federation of Teachers, we are opposed to SB 464. We've had drastic cuts in the schools over the past month. We've lost counselors, we've lost teachers, we've lost social workers, and the schools are going to be much different next year because of these cuts. And on top of that, if this were to come to pass, lots of people would be leaving, just like the firefighters and the police officers. So we stand together with our brothers and sisters in the police union, the firefighters union, the public works, and in opposition to, the paraprofessionals, in opposition to 464. Thank you.
Thank you to all of those who are here today, Hartford residents, along with our labor, along with other officials, and you, members of the press. This concludes our press conference in standing in solidarity and saying no to SB Bill 464. Thank you.
Welcome back to All Politics is Local with your host, rJo Winch on accesstv.org. I'm joined here with Councilwoman Cynthia Jennings, who also serves with me on the Labor and Workforce Development Committee for the City of Hartford. And we are very opposed to Senate Bill 464.
Thank you, rJo. Thank you for doing this, because we need to understand that Senate Bill 464 takes away the voting rights of the residents of the City of Hartford, because they will not be able to have a council that protects them. There's this Senate Bill 464 puts in place an arbitration panel that can make a decision that cannot be overridden by council. So when you're talking about the council being able to protect you or keep firehouses open or put more police officers on the street, that's not going to happen, okay? So this is a tactic to actually bust unions, but it also cuts serious services from the residents of the City of Hartford. So instead of trash pickup every week, you may have it every 2 weeks. You may have firehouses closed down, firefighters laid off, and you may also have 3 firefighters on a truck instead of 4. It is a danger to us to go through with this, and we as council members stand firm in opposing Senate Bill 464.
And one of the more important issues that Councilwoman Jennings brought up is about the firefighters. I'm understanding that they want to have 3 firefighters to a truck. And the firefighters have explained to us that buildings will burn down if that happens, because by state law, they cannot go into a building by 2 unless they can be replaced by 2. So they would have to actually wait until another fire engine came on the scene before they could actually go into that fire. So we're walking down a very, very dangerous slope here. And more importantly, you all elected us, the Hartford City Council, to have check and balances, on the legislative and executive branch. We cannot do that with the legislative and the executive branch under the same head.
Might I also add that this Senate bill is a state law that means that it supersedes any other state laws. So they can actually have 1 person on a fire truck if they so desired. They can close down every firehouse if they so desired. This is not something to play with. The City of Hartford will have its own legislation that rules only the City of Hartford, and it will not be the same protections that you have under state legislation.
All right, just want to thank you all for listening and tuning in to All Politics is Local on accesstv.org.